to Jumping Jew, Dodo Modern Poets. It's our last show at the Poetry Cafe till September. Very pleased you could make it tonight. We've got a fantastic lineup here. We've got P.R. Murray, Lisa Kelly, Keith and Suzanne Drake, Anna Beecher. First up tonight will be Anna, but I'll tell you about her in a moment. I just want to point out, if you've not been here before, the bar is upstairs, probably found that. The loos are at the back. The pattern of the show is we do about 40 minutes. Each poet performs in each half. We'll take a 20-minute break. We should be finished by 10, and then the bar is open for a further hour if you want to chill out, talk to the poets, or just chill out. So our first performer is Anna Beecher, who I first saw here at Poetry at 3, which is an open mic event held on the first Thursday of every month. And so delighted that she's come tonight, her first performance at Dodo. She's got quite an exciting summer coming up. Next weekend she's going to be performing in the Bread and Roses tent at Glastonbury, doing actually 2 shows, one poetry and one cabaret, 3 p.m. each day. Don't know how they're broken up, but you can ask Anna afterwards. She does storytelling shows. She's in the Art in Action Festival on the, is that the same as the Buxton Fringe or something different? So she's in the Art in Action Festival and also at the Buxton Fringe. So an exciting summer coming up, and I'm so delighted she's here for a preview, hopefully, of what she's going to be reading at Glastonbury, standing in a pair of wellies in the mud. So please welcome Anna Beecher.
Thank you. I'm not very tall. Thanks for rolling down your sleeves and giving everyone the full impact of your shirt, Patrick. You're going to witness my identity crisis this evening, because some of my poems are quite bouncy and quite rhymey, and some of them are quite serious and held back. So I think you can handle it, and I think we're all going to be okay. I did plan to put this poem at the end of my set, and then I realised it was a kind of introduction to me, so I realised it should probably be at the beginning. It's called Vegetarian Atheist. I am descended from butchers and missionaries, and yet I'm a vegetarian atheist. I fulfill every cliché of a person like me. I read The Guardian, watch foreign films, and my idea of a festival is latitude. My parents carefully fostered this attitude with a Mediterranean diet of hummus and Greek myths. I'm a feminist, I eat lentils, and although I feel I can hardly be blamed, if I go to Starbucks, I feel ashamed. I'm so PC. My own family is full of freaks. My mum is a 3/4 midget, and I've never met a man who wasn't autistic. I'm so PC, I cried when I found out I wasn't dyslexic and promptly became a dyspraxic epileptic. I fulfill every cliché of a person like me. The closest I get to the ghetto is watching The Wire on TV. In my house we drink fair trade tea and have a tiny grater for the parmesan. Cheer watching Question Time with, who's that man? Owen Jones, staunch defender of the welfare state. Now excuse me, I've got some nutmeg to grate. I fulfill every cliché of a person like me. But without a few clichés, where would we be? And sometimes I wonder whether this kind of parody is middle-class guilt or just middle-class apathy. I feel like genuine beliefs have mixed with garlic mayonnaise, replacing radical art with arty malaise. And those of us born under left-leaning, Guardian-reading moons should stand up for our clichés. Because if it's a cliché to think that the way we speak matters, that if political correctness has gone mad, then sanity must be the shaming of difference. To talk of strivers and skivers that talk of strivers and skivers is a flagrant abuse of the rhyming word, that we can do better than selling off our NHS and a pint with Nigel Farage, that things like poetry and people that can't be measured in economic units make our lives richer, then dip me in lentils and throw me to the Liberals. I fell in love at Winter Wonderland. And maybe that is why I am okay with cliché. Under the manufactured magic of twinkling lights, I let myself fall in love. And I didn't care that we hadn't invented it. And just because things have been said before doesn't mean that they aren't true. And you may fit some cliche mould and still have work to do. I can't be the only socialist in Starbucks. So I will be a post-feminist when the postman doesn't put the sun through my letterbox. And maybe my ideals were old hat before I was born, and the radicals were quelled with the invention of Quorn, but I am still in love with Billy Bragg and think the time is ripe to wear Birkenstocks with socks and fly the flag for cliché. For the revolution will not be televised, and it may or may not come with salad, but it could, in some small, unoriginal way, be you, be now, and be today. Thank you. This poem is a love poem. Mother, insomniac smile and a bunch of carnations. Her garden a caffeinated love song, blooming with parakeets. She greets each living thing as if brand new. It should be morning has broken, but she's on the patio singing Jolene. At night, soft weeping comes creeping over the walls. A dark-leaved climber rushing towards light, and my bed is an anorexic ribcage. In the morning, I am amazed at this small person pouring coffee, broken but still so full of offerings, leading me out to bright geraniums. After explosions, the purple-nosed buddleia are the first to push themselves through broken bricks towards the sun. Thank you. And this poem is called Us. This is us. This small collection of people. We know it is us because of the rounding of his vowels, the way she drops things and how she moves to sweep up glass, the folding of the newspaper and my father's cough. She, mother, mantle height, and he, brother, living in a different climate where sunny weather gives way to sudden storms. This is us. Assorted eyelids, faces, toes. Do we have a collective smell? Along sterile corridors, we inhabit these expected gestures. And you pull us together as if around a fire. In place of the voice which has slipped away ahead of you, we see the pencil laid atop the notebook, where the letters have become soft, quivering things, the brave, invaded lungs. The sponge to wet your lips sits in a plastic water cup, and the page reads, I am baptized. I think of the other us that would be here instead if we had formed into a different constellation of accidents, different noses, accents, one of them neat, perhaps slipping into the bathroom with a comb. We go outside, tipping paper birds into the little pond. Would they know to do that, the other us? Would they also find something easy and small to occupy their fingers? I'm just going to do one more in this half, and this one is called Hands. I don't know why I showed you my hands, so you might not know what hands were. Hands. Embarrassed at his fingernails, trying to pick the muck off hands that gathered eggs, to wrap instead around her small palms, smile floating shyly above the handshake. Later, hands shaking in the kiss, her wiping a crumb from his lips, fingers tracing thighs beneath her starched skirt, and the smell of her hands on him, like the sheets they folded, fresh. Her index ran from his forehead to nose, gently removed a fly from his eye wall, and they slid rings down the barrels of each other's fingers, him still with mud along the creases. Lines deepening as palms are moulded around the soft backs of babies' heads. Once, as 5 fingers folded around his one, he glimpsed his own father's hands, disappearing into gloves. The slap, when the children were in bed, which happened once and stopped time, remembered in red in the fingers bitten back, running through the hair no longer tracing each other in wonder. Wrinkled hands ceased to interlace, wrapping themselves instead around coffee cups for warmth, wool spooling around her thin fingers, illuminated and old under the lamp, skin shrinking from the bones on the backs of her hands. When his fingers found hers again, there was a cannula at the elbow crease. Her pulse was frantic, fragile as those first fumblings. In the absence of her voice, her hand replied, like the baby taking his finger, a little scrap of life, squeezing away doubt. And now, when he reaches into the urn to take her out in handfuls, dust settles in the space between the skin and the worn band of the ring.
Well, we've been running Dodo Modern Poets for